Hello, welcome to the first recitation class for the network theory. My name is Sebastian Nugroho. You can just call me Sebastian, and I'm the official TA for this class. I will be assisting Dr. Miltos Alamaniotis to manage this class, and today I will be talking a little bit about Multisim. So Multisim is a software from National Instruments, and its purpose is to simulate electrical circuits. All right, and I believe that Dr. Alamaniyat is already explained it to you, but here I just want to repeat it, to review it a little bit more, so that you guys will be very much familiar with multisim, because in this class we will be using multisim a lot. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so the first step is for you guys to sign up. So I will let you to create multisim account. So just go to that link, https www.multisim.com, and go to that website. You will see this screen right here, and click the sign up button and put on your information and create your username, create your password, and remember the password so you don't want to forget it. And you need that every time you are logging into multisim. Okay, after you create your account, after you log in, then you can create your circuit. So after you log in, this is the screen that will appear on your screen. Okay, so for the first time maybe you don't have anything inside it, so there's no circuit or anything, so you need to create one. So on the top right you click create circuit, click it right there, and then you have a blank space there. It's still untitled, you can put any title on it, and this is your workspace. Okay, and so you have like a blank paper there where you will put where you will design your circuit on this blank paper. On the left side here you have a bunch of items here, so each of them you can use it to create your circuit. Okay, I will explain it a little bit more. Okay, so I will be just showing you some essential items that you will need to construct or to analyze basic circuit. Okay, so the first one is voltmeter and ammeter. So obviously voltmeter is a device to measure the voltage of any circuit or any device. So voltmeter is used to measure the voltage, and ammeter to measure the current, because the unit of current is ampere, so that's why it is called ammeter, and the unit of voltage is volt, so that's why it is called voltmeter. And for voltmeter and ammeter is on the first item here on from the left side here. Click it on the first one here and you will see voltage and current. So the voltage corresponds to voltmeter and the current corresponds to ammeter. So just focus on the first two items, and forget the rest. I don't think you will need it. So just the first two, because they are the most important items for this class. Sources. So in a circuit you need a device that gives you energy, right? Because without energy then the circuit will not run, right? So that is very obvious. So for any circuit then you should have at least one energy source. So either uh, it's a voltage source or current source. So there are two types of sources. The first one is AC, the second one is DC. So AC stands for alternating current, DC stands for direct current. And for now, let's us just focus on direct currents because it is much simpler than AC. So DC is simpler than AC because you know batteries, right? Like you know batteries, you use it all the time in your household. So batteries, it gives you a DC voltage. So if you go here on the sources tab, then you will see AC voltage, AC current, DC voltage, DC current. So DC voltage is pretty much a battery, like in your cell phone, in your car, you have a DC battery there. So it gives you a DC voltage. And the second one is current, so it gives you DC current. Uh, for this class, I think we will be using DC voltage and DC current all the time. Okay, so let's just focus on this type of current and voltage source. Elements, the three most important elements in this class are resistor, capacitor, and inductor. Okay, so what are those? You will learn more about it in this class, so don't worry about it right now. So essentially resistor is a passive circuit, whereas capacitor and inductors, they can they have the ability to store energy for a period of time, whereas resistor, it just dissipates energy. So these are the basic elements that you will be using a lot. All right, dependent sources. Okay, so if we go back to sources, then this type of DC current and voltage sources, they are independent, so they can give uh, voltage or current independently. I mean, like a battery just gives you voltage or currents, that's it. I mean, the voltage or the current from battery, it stays the same, right? It is constant voltage, for example, right? Because so you have a small AA battery, it gives you like what, 1.5 volt of DC voltage, right, all the time. So it's a constant voltage source, so it is independent. But in dependent sources, you can vary the voltage or the current. So that's why it is called dependent, because it depends on how much you do want to control these uh, dependent sources. So there are four types essentially: voltage controlled voltage sources, voltage controlled current source, current controlled voltage source, and current controlled current source. There are four types there, and we'll be using that too. Okay, now that we have a basic understanding about these basic circuits, then let's construct a basic circuit. This is just an example. We have three resistors. We have one voltage source for this case, and you can set like how much is the voltage. So for this case it's 12 volt, and also the values of the resistance. So the smaller the value, then the smaller the resistance, right? So the resistance essentially is a measure on how difficult for the electron to flows, right? So the higher the resistance, then it will be more difficult for the electron to flow on a circuit, for example. All right, and you can also add some voltmeter and ammeter to measure the voltage, for example, right? And you just put those voltmeter ammeter here on any node that you want to measure, and it will give you the readings on the voltage, right? As similarly with ammeter, you can measure the amount of currents flowing on uh, some particular branches here, right? So in voltmeter, it will measure the voltage of a node, whereas ammeter, it will measure the current flowing on a branch, right? So okay, that's pretty much it. Next, so I will show you how to create a simple circuit from Multisim. So I already create an account here, so I have some circuits there, but let's create a new one. So you can click create circuit. Okay, as I explained it before, we will have a blank paper where we can put our circuits on. So we have voltage and current meters, we have DC voltage source, DC current source, we have passive items like resistor, capacitor, inductor, and also here we have the dependent sources, right? Four of them. And one thing that I didn't explain on the slide was this thing, ground. So usually when I create a circuit, I will put the ground, and I think ground is pretty much important because you can uh, you can see ground as a reference. Okay, so what does it mean by reference? I will explain it to you later on. Anyway, so let's start building our first circuit. Say I have a battery, okay, and I will put a DC voltage source, and the value I can change it to maybe 3 volt. Okay, and I will connect it to some resistors, so you can rotate it as you like. I have more of them. Alright, and I will have one more, I think. Okay, and you can vary the value. So K ohm means kilo ohm. I don't know. Let's put maybe 600. Maybe 400 ohm. Here I will have 600, and here I will, okay, 1k looks good, and they are not connected right now, right? So I will connect this circuit. Okay, just this like a wire you connect from one device to the other, and yeah, it's very simple, very intuitive, nothing to be confused. Where should I connect this to? I will connect it to here. Okay, so we have finished building a very simple circuit. Right, So let's put voltmeter and ammeter so that we can measure what are the values. Say, okay, let's measure the voltage on this node. Also, let's measure the voltage on this node. Okay, so I'm also curious about the currents, so I don't know, let's measure the current here, the current here, and the current here. Okay, so we have finished building the circuit. We have put all the meters, so let's just simulate it, right? How to simulate it? It's very simple. You click this button here, like run simulation, or control R on your keyboard. Let's click it. Okay, it's give you some reading there, right? Currents here, 2.4 milliamps, 1.1 volt, 9 microamps. So okay, but one thing that uh, you have to very you have to be very careful is that there is an error here when I run this simulation or run this circuit here. You see here it says no ground node was found in your circuit. To ensure accurate simulation, add the ground component and simulate again. Okay, so that's why I mentioned earlier that ground is very important, because ground here, it acts as a reference. Okay, so usually ground is placed on the bottom, and you need to connect it to at least one of your current or voltage source. So since I have a voltage source, then I will connect it to here. Alright, okay, I've put a new voltmeter there, right? Okay, say I don't have the ground, so I disconnect the ground and I will run the simulation. Okay, so here we have a 3 volt DC voltage source, right? 3 volt. So when I put a voltmeter on the top of the battery, then obviously it should give me 3 volt, but right now it gives me 1.1935 volt, right? So it doesn't make sense, because I have 3 volt DC source or 3 volt battery. Then why does it not give me 3 volt on the battery? It's because we don't connect it to the ground. So these voltmeters here, they don't have any reference, right? So you need a reference for the voltmeter, so that's why you need a ground. So when I put the ground there and connect to the circuit, then see what will happen. See, it gives me 3 volt exactly. It's because I have a 3 volt voltage source, so it gives me 3 volt, right? So it makes sense. I have 3 volt there too, but here I don't have 3 volt because I have this circuit here. Alright, okay, so that's how you build and simulate a simple circuit. And throughout the class, you will be able to tell why, like how do you get these values, like why the voltage over here is 2.4 and not 3, or why the current here is 1.4 milliamps here, 967 microamps. So yes, you will learn a lot how to come up with these values here, and you will need multisim to check whether your calculation is correct or not. That's one useful purpose of Multisim. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I will end this very simple tutorial on my first lecture as a TA. And if you have any questions, please contact me, send me email, and I will have 2 hours office hours on every week. It should be on Tuesday, Tuesday at noon for 2 hours. So you have any questions, please come to my office hour, send me email, or if you're not satisfied with me, you can always ask Dr. Alamaniotis because you should know more about this than I do. And that's it. So I look forward to help you to go through this class. I hope you success with the class and get the good grades, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.